It's a rather funny thing about growing older. The moment a person crosses the invisible threshold of 60 or perhaps 70 years of age, the entire world suddenly becomes incredibly invested in telling them everything that's falling apart. Turn on the television at any hour of the day, and you'll be bombarded with cheerful people trying to sell you creams for your joints, pills for your memory, and gadgets to help you simply stand up out of a chair. Society seems to have collectively decided that aging is nothing more than a slow, inevitable betrayal by the physical form. Let's consider a fellow named Arthur. Arthur is 72 years old. Every morning when he rolls out of bed, his left knee sounds a lot like someone stepping on a pile of dry autumn leaves. He accepts this crackling noise with a sigh, viewing it as the standard background music of his 70s. Like most folks his age, Arthur spends a significant amount of his mental energy cataloging the things he can't do anymore. He can't eat an entire spicy pizza at midnight without facing severe gastrointestinal consequences. He can't run to catch a departing bus without feeling entirely ridiculous. But what Arthur, and perhaps what you, might be completely ignoring is the quiet, miraculous symphony of survival happening beneath the skin. Our bodies aren't simply decaying machines. They're deeply loyal companions that have weathered decades of stress, illness, heartbreak, and joy, and they're still showing up for work every single morning. Instead of focusing on the creaking hinges, let's look at the foundation. There are subtle, everyday occurrences that most folks completely brush off as meaningless. Yet, to a doctor or a biologist, these tiny moments are profound indicators of a system that isn't just surviving, but thriving. If you can recognize even 3 of these 5 quiet signs in your daily life, you're walking around in a physical vessel that's genuinely extraordinary. Let's begin with the first sign, which involves something usually considered a minor annoyance. Sign number 1. Your accidental scrapes and kitchen burns disappear without much fuss. Picture a woman named Margaret. Margaret is baking her famous oatmeal cookies for her grandchildren. She reaches into the hot oven, misjudges the distance, and grazes the side of her wrist against the burning metal rack. She winces, runs it under cold water, mutters a few words she'd never let her grandchildren hear, and puts a bandage over it. For the next day or 2, it's angry and red. She assumes, as she's been told by endless magazine articles, that because she's approaching 75, this burn will linger for months. But a week later, Margaret takes off the bandage and notices that the angry red blister has flattened. The skin has formed a neat, tidy scab, and beneath it, fresh pink tissue is already emerging. A few weeks later, she has to squint just to find where the burn actually happened. Margaret thinks nothing of this. She considers it totally mundane, but she's entirely wrong. That simple, boring healing process is a masterclass in cellular efficiency. For a scrape or a burn to heal within a reasonable window of time, a massive, highly coordinated emergency response team had to mobilize perfectly inside her. Her circulatory system had to immediately rush blood to the site. Her white blood cells had to set up a perimeter to fight off any microscopic invaders. Her body had to manufacture brand new collagen to rebuild the damaged wall. Many people assume that older skin simply gives up. And yes, things might take a little longer than they did when you were 22 and seemingly made of rubber. But if you accidentally bump your shin on the coffee table, and that purple bruise slowly turns yellow and fades away over a couple of weeks, your internal repair crew is still clocking in. Your blood vessels are strong, your immune system is vigilant, and your cells are still talking to each other. Your body is still actively fighting to keep you whole, and that's a tremendous victory. Now, let's move from the surface of the skin to the engine room. Sign number 2. You can push yourself physically, and your breathing returns to normal relatively quickly. Let's go back to our friend Arthur. It's springtime, and Arthur has decided that his tomato plants need fresh soil. He drives to the garden center, buys a large, heavy bag of potting soil, and drives it home. When he opens the trunk, he considers getting the old wheelbarrow, but stubbornness wins out. He heaves the heavy bag into his arms and marches it all the way up the driveway, around the side of the house, and drops it heavily next to his garden beds. By the time he drops the bag, Arthur is breathing heavily. His heart is thumping against his ribs like a frantic drummer. He sits down on a wooden garden bench, wiping his forehead, thinking that perhaps he's too old for this nonsense. But here's the critical part. Arthur sits on that bench, and within 2 or 3 minutes, the frantic drumming slows down. His breathing shifts from deep, greedy gulps of air back to a quiet, steady rhythm. He doesn't feel dizzy. He doesn't feel pain. He just feels like a man who carried something heavy and is now resting. When Arthur visits his doctor for his annual checkup, he confesses this story, fully expecting a scolding. Instead, his doctor smiles. The doctor explains that getting winded when lifting something heavy or walking up a steep incline is completely normal. The true measure of cardiovascular health isn't whether your heart rate goes up, but how quickly it comes back down. This is called heart rate recovery. When you exert yourself, your heart pumps furiously to deliver oxygen to your struggling muscles. But when the work is done, a healthy nervous system immediately pulls the emergency brake. It releases chemicals that tell the heart to stand down. If you can carry groceries up the front stairs, or chase your escaped golden retriever across the lawn, and find that your breathing settles comfortably after a brief rest, your heart and your lungs are executing a brilliant, complex biological dance. They're adaptable, responsive, and incredibly resilient. Before we discuss the final 3 signs, which dive into the fascinating world of your brain and nervous system, I have a small favor to ask. I want you to take a moment and think about your own body. Which of these quiet, everyday miracles have you been completely ignoring or taking for granted? Please scroll down and share your personal thoughts in the comment section below. Your story might be exactly what another viewer needs to read today. And if you're finding value in this conversation, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with a friend who might need a gentle reminder of how wonderful they truly are. Let's continue with our journey through the remarkable aging body. Sign number 3. You can still close your eyes and truly dissect a complex flavor. Meet Evelyn. Evelyn is 68 years old and considers herself an amateur food critic. Every Sunday morning, she visits a small bakery downtown. She doesn't just eat her morning pastry to fill her stomach. She treats it as an event. She takes a bite of a warm, intricate cinnamon roll. She closes her eyes. She can instantly detect the sharp, spicy hit of the cinnamon, the rich, savory depth of the browned butter, and the faint, almost hidden trace of vanilla extract. She washes it down with a cup of dark roast coffee, appreciating the bitter, earthy contrast to the sweet icing. Evelyn jokes with her friends that her appetite is her best feature. But that ability to genuinely taste and enjoy food isn't just a personality trait. It's a profound neurological indicator. Our senses of taste and smell are heavily wired into the most ancient, primitive parts of our brain. They're deeply connected to memory, to mood, and to our nervous system. As the years pile up, it's a simple biological fact that our taste buds don't regenerate quite as quickly as they once did. Many folks find that food simply becomes boring. It becomes texture without joy. They start pouring excessive amounts of salt on everything just to feel something. If you can still sit down to a beautifully cooked meal and taste the subtle difference between basil and oregano in a pasta sauce, or appreciate the tartness of a green apple, your cranial nerves are firing beautifully. Your olfactory sensors in your nose are still catching microscopic chemical compounds and translating them into electrical signals, which your brain then translates into pure pleasure. Furthermore, a person who still enjoys the taste of food is a person who continues to eat a varied diet, which naturally protects against nutritional deficiencies. It keeps the digestive system active. It keeps the mind engaged. So, The next time you find yourself groaning with delight over a perfectly roasted potato or a slice of rich chocolate cake, don't feel guilty. Celebrate the fact that your neurological pathways are still throwing a magnificent party in your honor. Sign number 4. Your reflexes still jump in to save the day before you even have time to think. Let's look in on a gentleman named Walter. Walter is 74. He's standing at his kitchen sink, washing the breakfast dishes. His hands are covered in slick, lemon-scented soap. He picks up his favorite heavy ceramic coffee mug. Suddenly, the mug slips right through his soapy fingers and begins to plummet toward the porcelain sink basin, destined to shatter into 100 sharp pieces. Before Walter can even gasp, before his conscious mind can even form the words, "Oh no," his right hand shoots out like a striking snake. His fingers clamp around the handle of the mug, catching it a mere inch before it hits the bottom of the sink. Walter stands there, breathing heavily, staring at his soapy hand holding the rescued mug. He shakes his head and chuckles, thinking he just got lucky. It wasn't luck. It was proprioception and an exquisitely functioning peripheral nervous system. Proprioception is your body's unconscious awareness of where it is in space. It's the reason you can touch your nose with your eyes closed. When that mug slipped, Walter's eyes sent a frantic visual signal to his brain. His brain calculated the speed and trajectory of the falling object in a fraction of a millisecond. It then fired an electrical impulse down his spinal cord, through his shoulder, down his arm, and into his hand, commanding his muscles to contract at the exact right moment. We often associate sharp reflexes with 20-year-old athletes playing professional sports. We assume that by the time we hit our late 60s or 70s, our reaction times are moving through molasses. But if you've ever suddenly caught your balance when you unexpectedly stepped on a stray garden hose, or if you've swiftly grabbed a falling pen off a desk, your nervous system is still conducting electricity at lightning speeds. Your brain and your muscles are still locked in a highly responsive, deeply protective conversation. That lightning-fast response is your body standing guard over you, proving that its internal wiring is still incredibly sharp. Finally, we arrive at the 5th and perhaps the most misunderstood sign of a truly remarkable body. Sign number 5. Your body firmly and honestly tells you when the day is done. There's a woman named Harriet. Harriet spent her entire adult life working, raising a family, volunteering, and constantly moving. She was trained by a society that glorifies hustle and equates exhaustion with success. Now, at 71, Harriet experiences something that occasionally makes her feel a bit guilty. Around 9 o'clock in the evening, while sitting in her comfortable armchair reading a book, a profound, undeniable heaviness washes over her. Her eyelids feel like they're made of lead. Her limbs feel pleasantly heavy. Her body is sending her a very clear, completely unambiguous message. We are finished for today. It's time to power down. Harriet sometimes fights it. She thinks she should stay awake to finish a chapter or watch the end of a television program. She worries that feeling so tired means she's growing weak. This is a terrible misconception. There's a vast difference between pathological fatigue, the kind that makes you feel drained and ill upon waking up, and the honest, rhythmic tiredness of a body that knows its own boundaries. Our bodies are governed by circadian rhythms, an internal biological clock that dictates the release of hormones like cortisol to wake us up and melatonin to put us to sleep. When we're young, we abuse this clock terribly. We stay up until 3 in the morning, drink immense amounts of caffeine, and force our bodies to ignore their own pleas for rest. If your body now firmly taps you on the shoulder in the evening and demands that you go to sleep, it's a sign of immense internal health. It means your hormonal cycles are functioning exactly as nature intended. It means your nervous system is capable of downshifting from the stress of the day into a state of deep recovery. A body that demands sleep is a body that's actively preparing to heal your cells, consolidate your memories, and refresh your immune system for the following day. Listening to that tiredness isn't surrendering to old age. It's finally possessing the wisdom to cooperate with the incredible machine that keeps you alive. When you lay your head on the pillow and drift off with ease, your body is thanking you for the respect. If we look closely at these 5 signs, a completely different picture of aging begins to emerge. Healing smoothly from a minor scrape, catching your breath after hauling a bag of soil, savoring the complex spices in a Sunday pastry, catching a falling object before it breaks, feeling the honest, heavy pull of sleep at the end of a long day. Not a single one of these things will ever make the front page of a health magazine. They're too quiet. They're too normal. But they're the very definition of a successful, resilient, physical existence. Your body is an absolute masterpiece of survival. It has carried you through thousands upon thousands of days. It has fought off countless infections you never even knew you had. It has adapted to every strange diet, every stressful decade, and every sleepless night you ever threw at it. And still, after 70 years, it's quietly working behind the scenes, repairing your skin, regulating your heart, preserving your senses, protecting your balance, and ensuring you get the rest you need. So the next time your knee crackles when you get out of bed, or you realize you can no longer read the fine print on a medicine bottle without your glasses, offer yourself a little bit of grace. Don't measure your worth by the things that have slowed down. Measure it by the extraordinary systems that are still carrying you forward. You've earned every single year, and your body is still proudly wearing the badge of your survival. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle with your remarkable body, and I will see you in the next video.